Hey everybody, and welcome to Overdrive Guitar Channel. Today's a pretty exciting one for me. We're going to be looking at one of my favorite players, Stevie Ray Vaughan. He influenced me greatly. I know he influenced a lot of you out there. Hopefully you find the content that I'm making useful. If you do, please hit like and subscribe, and let's dig right in. Okay, so I'm going to be giving you 3 tips today to sound more like Stevie Ray Vaughan that cost you absolutely nothing. Now, as a little interesting aside, I recently watched an episode of True Tone Lounge where David Grissom was talking about getting a chance to listen to a Stevie Ray Vaughan show under the stage next to a bunch of cabs in an isolation room. Now, this is dream scenario for any fan like me. So David talked about a couple of things that really stood out to him. One thing was the whole time he was down there, he never heard Stevie miss a note. That probably doesn't surprise some people. Stevie was a perfectionist on stage, and his music showed it. But the other thing David Grissom talked about ties right into my first tip, and that is to play hard. David talked about how hard Stevie was playing his ferocious attack. So I think anybody who's listened to Stevie Ray Vaughan for any amount of time will kind of pick that out right away. And it's pretty clear that a half-hearted attempt at playing an SRV lick just won't cut it. If you want to sound more like SRV, you got to put a little gusto in it. Now, of course, it takes more than just smashing the guitar to sound like SRV, and anybody who tried to sound more like him by simply playing harder will notice that something just isn't right, which leads me to both of my other tips. The first one being, use the shoulder of the pick. Now, while this tip seems pretty self-explanatory, you just, instead of striking the strings with the tip of the pick, you turn the pick and use the shoulder. You're going to notice a few things happen immediately when you play like this. It's going to roll off your treble and your attack. This is going to let you play harder like Stevie without that boominess and that overbearing, just terrible sound you can get from overplaying. It's going to not only enable you to play harder like Stevie, it's almost going to force you to really get everything out of the guitar. Kind of the goal of that is to roll off some of that attack and get more of that Stevie sound. So I'll go ahead and give you a playing example, first with the tip of the pick, then I'll turn it and use the shoulder. And here's the shoulder. Now I hope that sound difference came across as much as I can hear it in the room, but you should also understand there's a difference in the feel, almost like a feeling of compression, and it's actually a pretty comfortable feeling when you get into the lead playing. So using the shoulder of the pick to get rid of some treble and attack is part of the Stevie Ray sound. And another part that helps him achieve the same thing is to use the volume controls on his guitar. Now, I see a lot of people who never ever touch their volume or tone controls, and this is a huge mistake. They are there for a reason, and they are very powerful tone shaping tools. So I'll go ahead and I'll play one example with everything on 10, and then I'll dial my volume and my tone back a little bit, and I'll play the same example so you can hear the difference. and now with the volume and tone rolled back. So I hope these tips help you along on your guitar journey. You don't need to use them to sound like Stevie. You can use them to just sound like you. There's an original idea. If you like the content I made at all, please hit like and subscribe so I can continue on my creation journey. Thanks, guys, and keep on rocking.